one of the subprogram, that is procedure, right? So procedures are stored into your databases.
Yes.
And whenever you want to call, you can call them. Okay. Yep. Permanently stored into your databases. Okay. So yesterday we have created, I guess, 2 to 3 procedures. Right. So where will you find all the procedures information now? What are the names and all?
Get salary.
Where will you find all these procedures names and all? Show procedure name.
This.
Data. Database. So where are so here I don't remember actually yesterday's created procedures. If I want to find them, where can I find these procedures information? I told you this concept. Describe. Correct. Data dictionary tables. All the procedure information, not only procedures, every information is going to stored into data dictionary tables. You should be learning all these things. Continuous practice. Select start from, I'm not sure, user underscore procedures. Yeah, this is the table which stores all the procedures information. Lot more I have, but I don't want to see all the information. Describe user underscore procedures. So these are the procedures. I want procedure name to be printed. Okay, so how would I select procedure name, data dictionary table from user underscore procedures. There are 67 rows are there and all are empty. No procedure name it is displaying. Okay, yeah. These are the tables, data dictionary tables, but I don't see any procedure names. Object name. Maybe some other table. If not this, some other table. Object name I have few, not the procedure name. So there are 67 procedures created. Bonus sale, income tax, update sale. These are the 3 which we have created and insert into dummy table, calculator, lot more things we have created like this. These are all the procedures which I have created. This is a data dictionary table. I told you data dictionary tables, they are very important. Whatever you do, every information is going to stored into some backend tables. Those are called data dictionary tables. So this is a table which is going to store all your procedures information, right? So yesterday we have created these 3 procedures: bonus sale, income tax sale, and update sale. Anyway, I have saved them onto my document. Right. So here I am trying to reuse what? Get salary. Right. While I am calculating income tax, I want to know the salary of that employee. So already I have written a get salary for procedure. So I am reusing it. Right. And what are the modes you have for arguments of procedure? What are the modes you have? In, out, and in, out mode. Right. So here you have procedure. We create the procedure in the database, and the syntax is create procedure, procedure name. And once you write it, it compiles and stores the procedures permanently into your database. If there are any compile time errors, your procedure is not going to be stored, right? So to see the compile time errors, we have what? Show errors, most recent procedure, show errors followed by what? Procedure, procedure name. Then it is going to show you the errors in that procedures, right? So there are parameters. We have 3 types. In parameter is the by default parameter, which takes the input to into your procedure. Out parameters are those which returns what? The values. Out parameters are those which returns the values of out from your procedure. In out is the parameter which is going to take the value as well as what? Return the value to the calling, right? Actual and formal and actual parameters. The values which you pass are called as what? Actual, and these are called as formal. Okay, so that's fine. So these are some examples of procedures. And yesterday we have is there any procedure with 2 arguments? Insert. Where is the insert? Here. Now to call this insert procedure. Right. So if I have to call this insert procedure, there are three ways. Execute is the one way. Procedure name insert underscore emp underscore dummy. Okay. I need to pass employee ID and four values, right? One at one e name is there, so it's not readable. That is the reason it is important to what organize your code so that it is easy to read. I have one more called as name emp1. This is how I can pass. And third, salary. You must pass the arguments. Number of arguments must be same as well as what order also must be same. Sys date something like this we have passed. Okay. Or call keyword we can use same. Okay. Or we can also use executive. What is that? Anonymous block. So we can use the anonymous block to call the procedure. Sometimes it is confuses. What confuses here is, right? So if you don't remember the order here, it is difficult to what pass the arguments. You must remember what order, and while you are passing the parameters, you must pass what in the same order. Okay. Sometimes it is difficult to remember the order. It may be missing, right? So in the place of right, in the place of employee if I pass salary, and in the place of salary if I pass what employee, still it inserts. Will it insert? Yes, no. If I reverse them, will it insert? Yes, no. Here I pass what 101, here I pass what 10,000. Will it insert into your database?
No, because
It won't insert. Why it won't insert? Employee ID is a number, salary is also a number. Why it won't insert? It will insert. It will insert. It needs a number here. I'm passing a number. It needs a number here. I'm passing a number. You know that numbers are not correct for what? Employee ID and salary. But how come database knows it is not correct? It will insert. So these kind of mistakes may happen with the comma separated values. These are called as what? Comma separated values. CSV. Comma separated value. These things can happen. These kind of mistakes may happen. Now your data is wrongly inserted. So there is a way to insert to avoid these confusions and all. So what you can do is you can specify the variable name. So you want to pass this value into what? Salary. So like this you can pass. So there is no confusion now. Now this I want to pass into what? E name. Right? So you can pass like this. E name, salary, and what is this? This is for EMP ID or EID. What is it? E underscore ID. So like this you can pass the values into your variables. So this what are these? These are your variable names. Into which variable you want to pass what value? Yes, syntactically it is little more. Syntactically it is a little more, but technically this is more feasible to what read. You can easily read these things. Okay. Fine. Pooja, can you share the link in WhatsApp?
Okay, sir.
Is anyone logged in? Link need to be posted in WhatsApp. Thank you, Pooja. Fine, so like this you can call actually. Along with your variable name, what value you want to pass. This is h date. You can pass like this. Okay. So this is more easy to understand while passing what? Values. So this also that you can pass like this. Now you don't have to worry about the order now, because you are directly specifying what? Variable name and its value. Which variable you want to pass which value. So you don't have to worry about the order of this variables. Okay. Fine. So this is also one way of passing the values into your procedures. Okay, this is how. And one more procedure I'll show you. Say me how to call that procedure. This procedure. Same how to call this procedure. This is a very important syntax. How to call this procedure. I'm not asking how to execute. How to call this procedure. Invoking. Execute keyword.
Procedure
Add a department and say me how to pass the value. Yeah, say me how to call that procedure quickly.
And then insert only we can pass with the with this variable we can pass the value.
So this is syntax I have.
With the name is department name there. Look, LOC is location.
Not copied from. I think there is no copy option. Yeah. Add department, and it has only two arguments.
Yes.
One is name, another is location. I'm not asking what is the logic you write here. I'm asking how to call this procedure. It's followed by something begin, end, and all. We don't worry about it. My question is how to make a call to this procedure. There is a name, there is a location, only two. Say me how to make a call to this procedure.
Name is equal to
Name is equal to some value. What are the ways you have to call this? I will write here. Let's say I'm writing anonymous block. Begin. Anonymous block to call this procedure. Calling that procedure. What is it? Say me. What is it? Add underscore DEPT. Okay. Can I write like this? Will it work? No. Why it won't work? I have to pass. See them clearly.
They are unknown and defaultly they
have given some
value.
name. It is of type what? This table, this type column. There is a value assigned to it.
Yes.
The value is unknown. There is a value. I'll change it to what? So for you, I'll change it to what? Test.
Then we know
So testing.
Then
Can I call now like this?
yes.
Can I call like this?
Yes, because value.
Yes, because there is a by default value given to what? Name. As well, there is a default value given to what? Default. These are the two ways to give default values to your variables. Either you can use assignment operator or you can use what? Default keyword. Both ways are there to give default values to your variable. So I don't need to pass any arguments while calling it, because those variables are already having some arguments. The same any other ways I can call it.
Execute.
Add underscore. You don't need to use execute because I'm calling it from an enhanced block. Same.
Testing.
Can I pass only one value? Will it work? Will it work? If I pass only one value,
Yeah, it changes this value and default.
it changes what?
Java name value and
Name will be passed as Java, but location is already having
having separate.
default value. This is also correct. Can I pass only location? Can I pass only location
Yes.
with like this?
LOC.
LOC variable into which I want to pass the value. Integer, right? Please, someone can go on mute. I'm getting some echo. You have any question to ask? You can. Okay. So this is a procedure which has two variables, but both are having what? Default values. Then you can call that procedure without passing any values because both are having a default values. Or into which variable you want to pass, which value you can pass. I'm passing value into what? Name. Location will be having a default value. If I pass the value into location, name will have a default. Can I pass both?
Yes.
Add underscore DEPT Java. Can I pass both? You can do that. Both will be overridden. Default values will be overridden with the values which you pass. Okay. So these are the different ways you can call what? Procedures. Right. So in out all what type of parameters are these? What type of arguments are these? Name and in because we did not specify the mode. If you don't specify the mode, it will be by default become an in parameter. Okay. Okay, so this is how you can create procedures, and procedure can return how many values?
1 to 0. 1 to n.
1 to n means 1 is compulsory.
No. Without argument.
How many values it can return? Procedure can return how many values? 0 to n. It can return 0 to n, not 1 to n. 0 means what? It cannot return any values, or if it can return multiple values also in the form of out parameters. I did not give you example using in out parameter, that you try. Now how to delete a procedure? Drop procedure name. Any procedure you want to drop, you can drop like this. There is no alter for procedure. If you want to alter, what you need to do?
We have to
Recreate it. You cannot alter the procedures. Okay, you have to recreate the procedures. Exceptions handling is the same way. How you handle the exceptions? In the same way you can handle the exceptions. Remove the procedures, drop procedure name. And the next type of subprogram is what? Functions. Functions are the next type of subprograms mostly used right in database. Already you know some functions. We have used some functions. Aggregate functions we have used, string functions we have used, numeric functions we have used, date functions we have used. So those are all predefined functions. Those are all predefined functions which we have used. Now we are going to create our own user defined functions. The same way how we have used predefined functions, we are going to use user defined functions also. Again, functions also stored blocks in the PLSQL. So they are stored permanently into your database. Almost similar to what? Procedures but the difference between procedure and function is procedure may or may not return any value, but function must return a value, only one value. Function will return compulsory, function must return a value. So what are the functions you have seen? Aggregate functions, min, sal, max, sal, they all return what? Values. Upper, lower, floor, seal, random, square root, all these functions compulsory return what? A value. So whenever you are creating a function must return a value. Procedure may or may not, that's different, but function must return a value, right? So that is the first difference you have. Rest of all the same. So create or replace, the syntax will be what? Create or replace function, function name, right? Same like procedure, block that can accept what? Parameters can be invoked and return what? And returns a value, that is compulsory. It is going to return a value compulsory, okay? In general, use functions to compute the values, right? So functions and procedures look alike, right? A function must return a value to its calling environment. It must return a value, that is compulsory, that is a syntax, right? Whereas procedure may return 0 or more values to its calling, that's optional in the procedure, but function must return a value, right? Right, same thing like a procedure, function also will have same header, same declaration section, begin and end, everything is what? Same, nothing difference. The exception handling, only the thing is the return class is added to what? Function, because it is compulsory. Only the syntax change is what? There is a return keyword must be added to the function, right? So same as this, they are stored into what? Databases. Same like procedures, and procedures functions also stored into what? Databases. They can be called from anywhere, they are reusable, easy to maintain, right? All the same as what? Procedure, but function must return a value. So this is a syntax change. Create or replace function, function name, whatever the arguments you want to pass, you pass. Modes are there, in mode, out mode, all are there. And you have a return keyword here, which must return what? A value. If you don't use this return keyword, it is syntactical error. How will you return the value then? We use a return keyword here while you return the value, right? So let's create a function now which is going to return the value. So functions definitely returns the values. If I have to convert this calculator function, okay, so where is this? This is where. So what is the difference? When I give these two values and option, it must return what? It must return a value to its caller. Okay, let's try to change this program slightly. Our calculator function will create. So I call it as calculator function, func. Okay, it's taking two values as input. Third value I am going to get as what? C number, or we'll take them as arguments. Okay, a number, comma, one more input, b number, and option is also input, isn't it? Option is also input. Okay, I am not going to read them from keyboard now. And here after this you must specify what is the type of value it is going to return. It is going to return
Number.
a value of type number. Okay, fine. Is here, it comes here. Is or as any keyword you can use, right? Create or replace procedure, procedure name. It is going to take three arguments and it is going to return a number. Is, and what is that return value? Say case. So here instead of printing them, what I'm going to do? C equal to a plus b. Okay, c equal to a minus b, a multiplication of b, and the final one is a divided by b. So everywhere simple calculation I have. First case a plus b, second case what? A minus b, third case a multiplication of b, and fourth case a divided by b. Else I am printing this statement. Now I have to return, because function must return a value. Okay, how this is going to be written? We use a return keyword called as return. What is it? C. Because the value is stored inside what? C. So there are two changes when it compared with what? It's not a procedure, it is create or replace function. Create or replace function. Function arguments, whatever you want to supply, function must return a value. This is the first change. Function name followed by what? Return, and you must return a value. So here I am returning that number. C is going to store what? Result of what? Any calculation. C is going to store result of any calculation that is going to be returned. Right? Let's create this function. So function must return a value. Remember that. This is a one important interview question. What is the difference between a procedure and a function? Procedure may or may not return a value, but function must return a value. Function created without any errors. It's successfully created, right? So this is the syntax. Now would I call this function? Same, execute keyword, but before that I'm enabling a set server. Can I call this with execute keyword? No, you cannot, because it is going to return a value. You have to store what? That value into some variable. Function is going to return a value. It is to be stored into a variable, right? So the best way is to call this is anonymous block. Anonymous block or some other function or procedure, right? I'm creating anonymous block begin. So oh, this won't work. It's wrong. This is because I need to declare one variable to store what? I need to declare one variable to store that result which is coming from what? Function. Right? So I'm declaring a variable. Let's say x is of type what? Number. Or I'm going to declare a variable with the name result. Always take meaningful names. Begin. Result equal to what? So that function is going to return a value. I'm going to store that value into what? C. How will you get C? How to get that value? 1. Function name by passing the arguments. Function is going to return the values. I have to call the function calculator function, and when I call this function with 3 arguments 2 comma 3 comma option, and it is going to return what? The value. I have to call the function. So 2 is A, 3 is B, option 1. It is 2 plus 3. And that 2 plus 3 is stored into what? C. That C is returned, and that returned value is stored into what? This result. So you have to call the function dbms underscore output dot put underscore line result equal to result is 5. You see, it is A plus B. You have to store the results into some variables, right? So when I call this function, it is returning a value. That return value I'm storing into what? a variable. This is all very important for programming. This is very important. Every programming languages use these kind of syntaxes. You call the function always returns what? A value. Always, compulsory. That is by definition. All you need to remember the syntaxes. Don't remember the programs. That is not the way to learn the subject. Remembering the syntaxes. So this is the function which is returning a value. Function which is returning a value C, right? So in the calling location, you need one variable to what? Store it. Someone giving you some item, right? So you need to have a space to what? Store it. If I ask you a mobile, you give it to me. First, I need to have what? Some space to store, keep the mobile. Same like. If you are asking this function to calculate the number, calculator, to calculate the some operation on this numbers, and after calculating, the calculator is returning what? A value. Calculator is returning a value. And based on that value, you can do what? Based on that value, you can perform some other logics if you want to perform, right? Fine. So, the anonymous block. But can anyone say, is there any other way to call this function? Oops. Call keyword. Is it returning you the value? Where will you store? Call, what is it? Calculate function. What values? It's func, okay. 4 comma 5 comma, let's say 3. It's multiplication. Not a valid function name or a procedure name. Because it's returning some value, you have to store somewhere, otherwise there is no use. Is the function name wrong? CLC func. It's fine only. Says what? And is not a procedure. So the way to call these functions is what? From anonymous blocks. This is how we call. But there is one more way to call them. If you can recollect this, we did not our functions. How did you call the previous functions? How did you call the previous predefined functions? Where did you call them? In select query. So you can also call your functions in what? Select query. Select, what is your function name? Cal function. It taking what? 3 arguments. Right? 4 comma 5 comma third. From which table? Select must need a table name. Otherwise you cannot write what? Select. Which table? Function name is fine. Which table I should execute this function? Dual table. From dual, you got the output. 4 into 5 equal to what? 20. 3 is the option. Option 3 is nothing but multiplication. Functions, they can be called using select queries. Can I use these functions in insert queries also? While inserting. Function while inserting. Can I use them? No? Yes? So I'm asking like this: insert into emp underscore dummy values. Now here I write what? First value I'm passing what? Cal function. Let's say 20 comma 4 comma third option
Then ID will be
comma what is it? emp something. Next salary. Next date. Will it work?
yes. ID will be calculated. And
ID will be calculated and
it will be
inserted. Is it? One row created. So here it is getting the value. Functions will return what? Function will return a value. So what is the value it is going to return? 80. 20 into 480. So that 80 will be inserted as first value. Anywhere you can use. All you need a value. Values can be retrieved in many ways. You can write some expression. So first the value will be what? First value is calculated through a function. This is all already you know that. What is this sysdate? You keep on using the same every time.
current.
What is this sysdate? What it is called as in Oracle? It's a function, date function. I'm calling this. I'm using it. It's fine. All you need a value. That value can be taken in many ways. You use ampersand or you write a static value using a function. You get the value many ways you can pass. Function must return a value. So it is going to insert what? 80. If you see this table, select e underscore id from emp underscore dummy table. There is no eid column, I guess. There should be 80 inserted here. 80 is just now inserted. Where employee underscore id is equal to 80. Just now inserted 25th June. Okay. So this is how you can use anywhere in the select query. You can use the functions, but you should make sure that you are using on correct table, right? Lot more ways to write the functions. So insert also I have used the function. While selecting also I have used a function. Fine. So this is the difference. Function must return a value. Okay. The same employee salary which we have created a procedure yesterday, we could have created it as what? Function. Easy to capture, right? So I can capture values easily from what? Functions, then procedure. If I have to capture the values from a procedure, I have to create dummy variables. Yesterday if you see that, right? So we have created some dummy variables to capture the values from what? Procedure. This sal is a variable I have to create to capture the value. If it is a function, I can write what? Sal colon equal to. If it is a function, I could have returned the value like this. I don't need to pass what? Salary. I can pass only employee ID, which is going to return me what? Salary. If it is a function like this, you can capture. Because it is a procedure, procedure returns the values using what? Out variables. So in the place of out variable, you should pass some variable. So there is a difference. Okay. So what is this function is going to do? Power poinda fan officer. That how come this is working? వచ్చినప్పుడు వేసినట్టున్నారు. Okay. Yeah. What is this going to do? Create function. It is going to return what? A boolean value is. Okay. There are some values are taken. So what is that? It's going to select all those columns from employees table. Okay, select query. Average salary, again function is used.
Yes, average.
Salary into from employees by department ID. If both salaries are then written what? True or written false. So just boolean, returning the boolean. When exception is here, how to handle the exception? This is how we can handle the exception. Technically what it is doing, it is taking the employee ID as 2, not 5.
Yes,
And it is taking the average, it is taking the salary of what? It is taking the salary of that employee, and also it is taking what? All average salaries of what? That same department table, and it is comparing. The salary of this employee is greater than average salary of all the employees in the department. Taking the salary of employee, it is comparing with what? Every employee's average salary in the same department, and it's comparing whether he is earning more than that average salary or not. So two queries are needed, right? Invoking a function, yeah, in the if condition, because this function returns what? This function returns a boolean. When something is written in a boolean, we can use them inside what? If conditions. If this function does not return a boolean,
No.
then you cannot use it inside what? If conditions, right? So because that is written a boolean, you can use inside a if condition. What is that function name? Check sal is the function name without having any arguments. Is it not having any arguments? Not having any arguments, right? So like this we can call. So ways to call the function from NNS block. If the because functions return what? Compulsory a value, you can directly write the function inside what? dpms underscore output, because it is going to print the output, right? Or you can use them inside what? Select queries, but you cannot use what? Call keyword or execute keyword on the functions. The best way is call the procedures or functions from what? Some other procedures or functions, right? So don't use execute and all, right? So advantage of user defined functions, you can write your own logics. Predefined functions, whatever the predefined functions are there, if you feel the predefined functions are not sufficient, you are going to write your own procedures and functions, right? So removing a function, drop function. So but before this we are going to do small exercise. You're going to find the grade of a student, grade ABCD. You're going to display what? ABCD, whether he got A grade, B grade, or C grade, D grade. But you're not going to write the logic inside a single function. You're going to write one function for adding the marks, one function for what? Calculating the average, one more function for grade. Three functions you're going to write to calculate what? Grade. When I call grade function, it should give me what? Grade of a given student. Do it. But you are not going to do it in single function. You are going to do it in three different functions. So to calculate grade, you need, let's say, 3 subject marks. You need to add them. You need to get what? Average of them. Then you have to calculate what? Grade. 3 different logics. And I'm asking not to write them inside a single function. I'm asking you to write them in 3 different functions. So in future, if I want to add only 3 numbers, I can use what? Some function. If I want to calculate average, I can use what? Average function. So that is advantage. Modularity. Do it quickly. If you have notes, write in the notes, or if you have system, you write in the system. So it's all about functions, nothing much. They must return what? A value. So are you doing it online?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Create or replace function name. First is don't take predefined names because there are already functions created with the name predefined names. You are going to take different names. Okay. So let's say three subject marks M1 subtype. You carry and don't look at you. Completed. Completed. Eighth line, 10th line, 12th line. If AVG is greater than or equal to 70. If condition, then is it correct, right?
I think
It's fine. I can't I put them? I can.
And
greater than, equal to. Average is type number. Is it wrong if condition? What is error? I don't. What is the syntax error? Same three errors. Expecting. Okay. This is fine. Only if condition syntax error it says. If average is greater than equal to 70. Is if condition syntax wrong? Anyone? If then only, right? If condition then logic, else condition then logic.
else. MD for space.
Correct only. This average average between and operator, correct? Encountered a symbol when expecting parentheses. Why it is expecting parentheses? Says this is a symbol which we encountered when we are expecting what? Okay. AVG function is there? AVG function is
Yes, sir,
there,
we
right?
have it.
There is a problem. Here's a function. It's because it's a function, it is expecting what? That's flower basis. So I need to change this AVG to AVEG. Then it will work. There's a problem. So I told you, don't take predefined function names. There is still one more error. Is there any other area I have to change? Here, equal to. The problem with the name. So I have to execute this, right? Begin. What is my function name? Grade. It is taking 3 subject marks. Okay, dbms. I'm directly printing the grade. Underscore output. Dot put underscore line. What is it? Grade is the function. 3 subject marks and number of subjects actually. End is missing. Begin. Print. D grade. 10 plus 20 plus 30 is how much is it? Average is 60 by 3, 20%. So how did I do this? Grade function. I'm not writing the logic in the grade. I have only if condition to calculate what grade. But I'm getting the average from one more function. So what are the values I'm passing? This subjects values m1, m2, m3 and number of subjects. Is it SUB is nothing but I'm not calculating the average here. I'm passing 4 values to grade. Those 4 values I'm passing it to what? Average. What it is going to do? It is going to give me the average. That average I'm calculating whether it is in between this range or not. But I don't have a logic for to calculate what average here. Grade function is taking the values. Those values are passed to what? Some other function. Okay. Now this average function is taking same 4 values. It is calculating what? Average. But there is no total logic here. Sum logic is not here. Where I am calculating sum of subjects, I am calculating the sum of subjects in one more function. So this average function internally calls what? Total function. And total function is going to return what? Total function is going to return the total. So I am calling the total function to get the total. That total I am using to calculate what? Average. Now this function returns what? Average. And I am getting the average here. And based on the average I am calculating what? Grades. So when I call grade function, internally it is calling what? Average function. And average function internally calling a total function. So this is giving you total. What is the advantage of writing like this?
You can directly call total to.
I can directly call any function, whichever the function I want to call. I can call. No need to call average, right? I can call what? Total function. I can get only total now. This is advantage. Yes, your logic is little more, but you have what? Advantage of what? Calculating individual. If you want total, if you want average, you can call what? Begin. It's not the total, its function name is what? Average. You can write all the logic at one place. No problem. All logic you can write at one place. But this is more usable code, reusable code. You got average as what? 20. Now when I call the same with grade, if I write all these 3 logics in one function, what happens? You cannot find the total separately, you cannot find what? Average separately. You can do that, nothing wrong with that program. This is modularized. That is advantage of what? These programs. You can modularize the programs. How much piece of logic you want to write, you can separate it, right? And this is for grade. So when I call grade, grade is internally calling what? Grade function is internally calling average function. Average function internally calling the total function. That is what it is. So I've used a predefined name. So if I change the grade 70, 70, 80, 3 subjects are like this, and semicolon slash grade A. This is grade A because average is something around 75. Right. So that is what we have. You want to print the average? You can print it. Where should I print the average and all? In my grade function along with the grade also you can print what? Average. Let us return that if possible. ABEG. I'm concatenating what? Ultimately it becomes what? Number plus string. Concatenation ultimately results what? String. Alright, batch R. Calculating average with every grade. Slight change in my program. Right, so then it is going to print what? Average comma grade both. Check your syntaxes. Flow is important. You need to understand flow, how it is moving, right? And begin grade says what? Error. Numeric value and at small. Okay. Okay, the problem is not with the concatenation, the problem with my size. I took the size as what? Only 2. Now it says what? Average is 75 plus 8 becomes what? 3. 3 characters. It says what? Size is too small to store that whole result. So the solution is what? I need to change my size of this average because I thought I'm going to return only ABCD. I thought only 2 characters are enough, right? So the reason why I took the size as what? 2. There are very simple programs. Should write very simple programs. Nothing logical thinking and this what? Again too small. Numeric or value error, character string buffer too small. Line 12. Which is the line 12? Great. Actually we got great. But this concatenation is not working. Okay. New point. So this concatenation is actually numeric or value error. Concatenation is not converting it to what? I thought it will be converting it to a strings. By default it is going to convert, but it says what? I cannot do this concatenation. After concatenation, I thought it is converting it to what? A varchar, but it is not doing. That's okay. But it could have shown the error while creating itself. It's not showing any error while creating. Okay. So this is how anyway you can write functions, reusable codes, procedures and functions. And the differences between procedures and function is execute as PLSQL statement, invoke as part of an expression. This can be executed as part of expressions like select queries, right? Or dbms underscore output. We can print like that, right? Must contain what? Return. Must not contain a return. Can return 0 to n values. Must return only one value. Okay. Contains a return statement without a value. Can contain a return statement without a value. So you can have a return statement, but it does not have any value. That means what in a procedure? What does it mean? In a procedure, also you can write what? Return. Like this, you can write somewhere. Yeah. I can write what? Return keyword. But no, well, in the procedure you can write. Here, that is the meaning. Return. You can use the return here. We should not contain any value. In the syntax, you should not add what? Return of a procedure. This is a procedure. You can use return keyword in the procedure, but without any value. So return with value must be there inside functions only. Okay, so that is what we have. So these are the differences between procedures and functions. Anyway, we have seen some functions, predefined functions. Okay, like right. So all functions, aggregate functions you have, and what are the things you have? String functions, numeric functions, all are the functions we have seen. Okay. So nothing much. How to delete a function now? Function followed by function name. Okay, so you can do that. Draw function, function name. So these two are named programs in Oracle, right? And other are no named anonymous blocks, but both contains what? Same sections: declaration, executable, and exception. But we did not write any exception sections for what? Our procedures and functions. You write them, right? So that is what you have. Just you practice how to write procedures, exceptions inside your procedures and function, right? So advantage is reusable blocks. Wherever you want, you can reuse them. Okay. Can I write this inside select query? Can I write this grade function inside select query? Select, what is that function name? Grade, it is taking what, 3 marks? 40 something. Okay. Total number of subjects are what? 3. From which table? Dual table. Says what grade? C. C grade. Okay. Average will be something around 50, 45, 70, right? It's close to 55, 60. Right? 60, I guess. It's 60, not 60, 57.5. Anyway, that is a C grade. Fine. So you can call them in select queries, you can call them in DBMS printing functions, you can call them, or you can also call them in anonymous blocks. If you want to call them in anonymous block, this one, how to call this one in anonymous block? I need to declare a variable to store what? Grade value. And to declare a variable, right, to store grade is of type varchar 2 of size 20, and then begin gra is equal to what? What is my function name? Grade. We're taking again values, some random values, 3 subject marks. Okay. Now if you want to print it, dbms score underscore output underscore. This is how we can multiple ways. Secret. Okay, so this is how we have 3 ways you can call the functions. Fine. So these are all functions. The next we have left with 2 concepts in PLSQL, which is the end of what? PLSQL, that is packages. Right, so nothing special actually. A package is not a program. Package is nothing but group. Why will you use package in real time? In real life, why will you use packages? You use package. You'll do packings, right? Why will you do packings? What is the advantage of packings? Group of items, group of similar items you can group, right? So that is the same way. Here also we use the packages for the same purpose. We are writing so many programs. In a complex application, we'll have what? So many programs are written, like so many functions and processes are written. So easy identification, we do what? We group them into packages. It's not a program. It's not a writing a program. It's grouping the things together. You have everyone is using the systems, right? So when you want to copy some data into your hard drive, what will you do? If you want to copy the data into your hard drive, what will you do? Directly copy. Before copying, do you do anything? Create a folder. Why will you create folder? What is the need of creating the folders? Without creating the folders, can't you copy the data directly?
Yes, but
You can do that, right? But why will you create the folders while before you copy or before you create any stuff? To identify easily. So what is the advantages you have creating the folder? She says identifying easily. Second,
all the components
mm.
content this stuff will be at one place.
Okay, which means so directly you can copy them in C drive, D drive like that, right? Why will you need a folder for which?
Creates
Space.
Space.
Why will you create folders? A very basic question. Without creating folders, can't I copy directly all the data into what? My D drive or C drive, E drive, whatever the drives you have.
So many files will have and we can find this.
Okay, it's not easy to find if you have all the stuff is copied into what? Some directly into the drive. So why any other? No advantages. We are creating every day. You are creating folders, and you don't know why you are creating it. Interesting.
you want to delete, you can
Delete easily.
group.
You can select composite.
They're not related to technical question. These are related to your regular time. Just give me 1 or 2 points.
You can open files easily.
You can open the files easily.
Grouping.
The first advantage is grouping. Grouping means what? Same types of content generally will keep similar type of content into what? Folders. All movies at one place, all songs at one place, all softwares at one place, all materials are at one place, like this. It's easy to group. You group similar type of content into those folders. First advantage. Second, that's it. What are the other advantages? Finding easy. You don't have to go to the content. If I ask you to find a movie in my laptop, what will you search first for? Folder with the name movies. You don't find the content. The folder name itself is a namespace. The folder name itself is a namespace which is helping you to identify what is the type of content stored inside that folder. You know, to entire search all the folders open and all. No. By looking at the name, you will have basic idea which folder contains what type of data. The second advantage, group similar type of data you place inside one folder, and they provide you what naming conventions. You'll give some folder names, easy to identify. Any other? You have some more advantages. You use only for grouping and identification purpose. Easy searching in the future. Any other? No? Moving is also easy from one location to location. Instead of moving individually all the files, you can move them as a folder. There is a one more advantage, right? So these are the advantages. You have the same advantages you have here. So because whatever we have created, as a programmer, you don't see them as what? You don't see them as what? Some files. They are by default stored in your database. They are stored into your database. How they are stored into database? In terms of some kind of files. All these programs are maintained backend in terms of what? Some files. If you want to store something permanently, that is, you write that content inside what? A file and store it. As a programmer, you don't see them as what? Files. You see them as like this. But at the backend, they are stored as what? Files only. So now how to group these files? How to identify these files easily? Because I'm having very less functions and procedures. Maybe I might have created close to 10, right? Procedures and functions together, I might have created 10. But if you have a large application where you have to do what? So where you have to create so many procedures and functions, how will you do that? So it's right. So right, you can create the functions, related functions into what? One group. So that separation you do with the help of packages. That's it. Package is nothing. It's not something technical. Programming and all packages are used to logical separation of your procedures and functions. The same thing you're doing at operating system level, folders. But in programming languages, we call them as what? Packages. When you have, let's say, whenever you develop real-time application is divided into what? Multiple modules. We'll have so many modules, right? So if you have a product management system, you have to manage what? Products. You have to manage users, right? Building module like this. You have so many modules. I may need so many functions to be written on what? Products. I may need so many functions needed for what? Users. And for easy separation of these functions, to easy identify, we use what? Packages. It's not compulsory to use what? Packages. Without packages, I can write my programs. But when you have a large complex application, it will be tedious to identify what? Which programs are where and all. So you separate them into what? Packages, right? So that is the advantage of package technically. But when it comes to package, there are two things we have in a package. package specification and package body. It is not there in your regular operating system. All you do what? You copy all the files into what? One package. But here there are two steps. One is called as what? Package specification and package body. So you can see this concept as what? A book. So what a book? How the book is partitioned? How the book is divided? Index and actual content. So if you want to go to actual content,
You have to see.
if there is no index, it is difficult. So specification is act like a what? Index. A specification contains only what are the things you want to group. There is no logic at all. Package body contains the actual logic. It's like index of a book. There is nothing. If you look at the index of a book, what will be there? Only the topic names and page numbers. Is the actual explanation about the topic is there in the index?
No.
No.
The names of.
So that specification is something like that. Only the names. Inside this package, what are the procedures, functions are grouped. Only the names are placed. Where is the actual implementation for these procedures and functions? That will be inside a package body. Right? So that means if someone wants to see this package contains how many procedures and how many functions, altogether how many are there, where he can find all this information. Do he need the logic? No, he only need
The procedure.
the names. So he can find the names inside what? Package specification. And package body is for what purpose? It is for actual logic. Right? Nothing new you are going to do. You are going to again write what? Procedures and functions only. You are going to again write procedures and functions. But now this time we are going to place them into what? We are going to place them inside a folder. Separation of procedures and functions. Right? Fine. So that is we are going to do with the help of what? Packages. So syntactically, one or two lines are added to your procedures and functions. Rest is same, nothing new. There is no coding at all. Just separation, logical separation of your procedures and functions. Yesterday, I have created procedures and functions on what? Employee, average salary or income tax of employee. Today we created what? Grades, calculators. They are not same. They are different. I can keep all these mathematical calculations into a package called as what? Math, so that it is easy for you to identify all math related and all employee related procedures and functions. I can keep in what? Employee package. So it is easy for you to go and find employee related logics. All will be there in employee package. Mathematical operations all will be there in what? Math package. That is the separation. That's it. Now to do it, you have two steps process. We'll see what is the two steps process, how to do this. So this is one more thing, right? Package specification and package body we call, and then the last is called as triggers. Triggers are some kind of programs again. Triggers are some kind of programs only, almost similar to what? Procedures and functions. But the way they execute are different from what? These are also programs, stored programs into your database. They are also stored into your database, these programs. But the way they are executed is different from procedures and functions. So these are the two topics we left with. Let's see if I can complete them. I'll complete them tomorrow. Okay. Fine. Meanwhile, if you can, I think you can go through this package section in the document. Triggers I'll explain because there is a program again, but that program has a different execution. It has a different life cycle altogether comparing with what? Procedures and functions, right? So these are the very important programs. Triggers also. These are all the techniques you should know. Subprograms and triggers. This is the most used technique in modern days applications. Triggers is the most used technique for application development. There are various models followed in the application development. Triggers is one of the way of writing your programs. Means program writing is almost same, but the way it is executed is what? Little different. That we'll see, right? So I would like to wind up the session today. So actually I'm thinking two things. One is test scores anyway are bad. I'm not impressed with the scores what you got in your test. So most probably I'm planning to complete this by tomorrow, and Tuesday, Thursday, right, and Friday I want you to for practice 2 days. I want to give you whole practice only, no training at all. But Friday I will conduct a test on end-to-end SQL. You should score 70%. End-to-end PLSQL, SQL queries and all. 2 days I will leave for practice. Sometime Friday evening I'll conduct, means 2 days means what's from tomorrow 9 o'clock you have time till Friday evening, almost 2.5 days. I want you to practice 70%. Saturday we'll start with what? Java. As per the schedule, actually I should complete this SQL by 23rd only. Because of delays and all, that's okay. 1 week here and there, that's okay. Fine, we depends upon that scores. I'll decide who will be joining a core Java module. It's unnecessary, waste of money and waste of time. Okay, so careful. I'll publish your scores, not yours anyway. I cannot publish to anyone, but their scores I'll publish to their brothers. I have everyone's WhatsApp number. Screenshot I'll publish to Lakshman. Is your cousin? Is relative? Telsinana relative. Anyway, Lakshman will pass the scores to your parents. Anji, I don't know about yours. Hanuma, right? Nick, you are exceptional, no worries. Right, but you have to take the backup. I am not going to give you backup. They will give you the backup. Right, that is the job I assigned to you. Because you are learning, you must be in a position, not 100%. At least you must be in a position to explain what? 50 to 60%. He can learn on his own. Fine. So find the backups. I asked so many things in this class, but I did not get anything. As day-wise schedule, I asked. I did not get any reply on the day-wise schedule. I asked what?